Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of my Darkest Hour. Yes, I know it's been a couple of weeks. Been doing a lot of filming out there. I've got this great new episode coming up for the show. You guys, I'll let you know about that. Of course, you can always go to Paraflix and follow me on there and find out more. Also, we've been utilizing the YouTube channel quite a bit and putting a lot of the shows that you guys are seeing here with other things we've been adding on to different playlists and stuff. So you can keep in track with us, and of course, all the links to the University Magicus. Those of you follow me, and I'm so grateful that you guys do for the classes at Udemy. Of course, you can go there and sign up. I've been having a lot of great requests. Been doing some great classes out there. When I'm not filming, it's been pretty crazy, hectic schedule. So many things are going on, and of course, we're going into that season where things pick up a little bit more. So glad to have you guys joining us here, joining us at the university, and of course, following us on Paraflix. It means a lot to us. With that being said, I'm very, very excited about my guest tonight on the show. Wanted to get him on here earlier. I had him on one of the other podcasts that I did, and then he ended up moving, so it was hard to do that. But now that we have things set up here, a lot more video, it makes it a little bit easier to interview across the states, of course, and other countries like we've been doing. So very excited, and this person is also one of the teachers at University Magicus. If you go check out the teachers and everyone is involved, he's an incredible teacher, incredible storyteller, just an all-around incredible person. So let's go ahead and not waste more time and bring him onto the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard-Lael Lillard. Make sure we got you on here. I think you're on mute. I'm not hearing anything. There you go.
Okay.
You there. Look at you. How you doing?
I'm well, my friend. How are you?
I am keeping busy, but it's so great to have you on the show finally. It's been a couple of years since I've seen you.
It has been a couple of years.
Absolutely.
I moved to New York, and then it was, I was dealing with a lot of chaos, and the world, I think, was dealing with chaos, and chaos. There can be some good things that come from chaos, of course. Chaos magic being one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now I'm getting ready to move again.
New adventures, and you're going to the South, right?
I am going. The devil went down to Georgia and then passed through Georgia and went all the way down to New Orleans.
Why not? Absolutely. Well, that's where the crossroads are at, so it makes it a little bit easier.
Oh, yes, it does, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Making dreams come true.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah. So good. So one thing I was trying to tell everybody in the beginning when I was introducing you, you're an actor as well. You're a writer. I believe you did some directing as well. Got behind the camera.
I have done a lot. Yes. As far as behind the scenes, I directed theater more than actual film productions, but I did a lot of directing in a little theater there in Hollywood, not far from you. I did some directing there. I was an actor. I've done a lot of film and television. I was a set designer for a couple of things, and I paint. I am working on a book. I'm still not there yet, but I am working on a book. And I do all kinds of things. Why not?
Absolutely, because when you have that much talent, it's hard to just stop doing one thing. You just got to kind of attack everything that you can because you want to get all that information, the things that you're doing, the things you're experiencing out there for people to follow.
Well, that, and it's sort of like, I think about that, like the magic being pent up, that if it gets pent up too much, then you have to just explode and do it. So I feel like it's good to do something artistic a little bit every day. Even, you know, getting dressed in the morning is a little bit of an art, I think.
Well, sometimes that's what you got to put in. You infuse your everyday magic in the things that you do to enhance your life, you know, the performance of your life. So that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. You also Richard-Lael is also known as the gentleman psychic, and that's, I believe, the first time I met you was when we were up in Virginia City, and
Yes.
I had the keys to the Washoe Club, and we were running around there with Patty and everything. That was a great experience.
It was really a great experience, but to this date, that is one of the most terrifying paranormal experiences that I've had, and it's also one of the funniest. So you know the old Washoe Club. It is haunted. It's severely haunted. Patty and I and a few others, we went around and we were interacting with these professional ladies on the other side, and you know the voice box would started picking up sounds of intimacy, to be honest. And so that was fun, and we would sing and we would laugh, and you know it was fun. And I thought, okay, I need to go into this other room. I walked off into the other room, and I saw there was a woman in blue standing looking down at something. And I said, okay, what are you trying to show me? And I followed her line of sight, and I looked down and I saw boots and legs, but I felt no humanity whatsoever. And I went, nope, no, I'm getting out. No. And then I came to my senses, and I went back in with the light on my phone, and I realized it was a mannequin dressed as Willie Nelson. And that and the spirit was, she was looking at this mannequin dressed as Willie Nelson. And when I saw something physical, but there was nothing behind it, I was terrified. That terrified me.
That's funny, because you being a psychic, when you're encountering other spirits and stuff, you still feel the sense of their warmth, their glow, or the energy coming from them. When you come across something like that and it's cold, and you're like, "What is this?" That is awesome. That just shows you the difference right there.
Yeah, it was interesting. Though I really enjoyed more the interaction with the woman in the front room, because again, not only were there sounds of intimacy, but I would go in, and it was not the 1860s, it was the 1960s, but I was singing Hey Big Spender from Sweet Charity. And of course the spirits were, oh, well, we get that. We understand intimacy, and we understand doing it for pleasure and for business. Okay, we understand that.
Yeah, but it's funny. They're still living their times, doing the work. You know, it's not like anything's really changed. They've just got rid of the avatar and are still functioning in their lives like they were prior.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's really where there is, as a psychic and medium, I don't know how it happens. I don't know. I don't know if it's a recording on a needle. I don't know if I'm seeing through time. I don't know. I don't really have the answer. But I do feel them, and I see them, and I hear them.
Yeah. Well, because you're connecting with that realm, whatever that frequency is, because you're walking into it, because your feelers are open, and you're like, okay, what's going on here, you know? And sometimes I'll just connect with you, and whatever's happening is happening, and you're able to see it. So that's amazing. When you were younger and you were discovering these abilities, can you tell us a little bit about that experience, like how you started realizing this was happening to you?
Yeah, you know, it was very strange, because I grew up in a very religious household. They were Pentecostals, which is they're now more broader evangelical, but I was Pentecostal, and they believe in the gift of prophecy, and they believed in the gift of healing. They believe in all of these supernatural things, but they just think, oh well, you know things, and that's okay. So as a kid, and also a kid who was more than likely on the autism spectrum, I knew things, and I thought that I was saying things that everybody knew. It was just one of those things. I remember, a couple of times when I was really young, um, when it first, it didn't strike me, but one of the first things that I did was my father, when I was 4, almost 5, came down with Guillain-Barré, polio, and he was in bad shape, and then he slipped into a coma and was pronounced dead. However, everyone would ask me, what do you want for your birthday? And I would say, my father is coming home for my birthday. And they would go, oh, bless, which of course is sort of Christianese for you dumb kid. You have no idea, you dumb kid. Well, my father was pronounced dead, and then he cleared his throat for the first time in a month, and he sat right up in bed after he was already covered up with a sheet. And the nurse screamed and passed out, and the doctor came running in, and he nearly passed out. And my father said, what happened? And my father said, oh, I don't know. I just said hello, and she passed out. And the doctor said, well, if a corpse had talked to you, you'd pass out too. So my father came home the day and the night before my 5th birthday. My mother says, well, honey, aren't you excited? Your daddy came home. I said, I knew he was going to. And I also remember thinking, I'll have him for 20 more years, a little more, but 20 more years. And then sure enough, 20 years later, he passed away for good on the day and the night after my 25th birthday. So
Oh, wow.
There was that. But there were little things as a kid. Like I would know, for instance, my father would be working on the car, and he would say, now, where is my screwdriver? Where is that screwdriver? And I would say, it's in your right pocket. And he would say, no, it isn't. Now he was left-handed. I would say, just check in your right pocket. He would go, here. Oh, it is in my right pocket. How did you know that? I don't know. I just knew it. But I even as an adult, I moved to Vegas in my 20s after my father's death. And I was a singing blackjack dealer. I was Freddie Mercury. I was a Freddie Mercury impersonator.
Cool.
At the Imperial Palace. And the funny thing was, we had a card shuffler, and I would, as the cards would go out, I would touch the back of the card, and I knew what the whole table was going to be. And I would take the card, and I would touch it, and I would say, 3 of diamonds, and I would turn it over, and it'd be right. This is a 9 of spades. Here it is. And I would go down around the table, and they would go, how do you do that? And I'd go, I don't know. And I remember one time when I was dealing blackjack, and there were 3 people at this table, and guy number 2 had a really big bet, like $100 for me. Like, here, if I win, you win $100, and then that'll be great. So the guy in front, I think he has, the cards aren't exactly important, but I think he had 13, and the next guy had one that he needed to draw, and the next guy needed to draw, and I had a 6, I think, or a 7, and the man says, hit me. I said, no, you don't want to do that, because you're already dead in the water. You have 13. This next card is a 10, and if that's a 10, you're going to take the 10 that would give this guy 21. If you take that, that's money out of my pocket, because he needs that 10. He'll get a 7, and then this one over here, he will get the 7 that would have made him have 20 that this guy would have gotten. And if you take that card, then I'm going to draw until I will have 21 if you take a card. He says, I said, hit me. I said, fine. 23, 17, 18, 21. Are you happy?
That's funny. You at least gave them the chance, Most
Right?
people would just use that to their advantage, but you're like, no, dude, this is not what you want to do. That is hilarious.
Right. So I didn't even realize what I was doing. It was just so funny. It was just a natural thing for me. Um, when I was in Europe, I started seeing things more frequently and I was more open to it. And I didn't fully understand. And it really wasn't until I moved to San Francisco until a friend of mine said, I have them right here. This is the box for them. A friend of mine says, hey, I have a gift for you. I said, okay. He says, but before I give you this gift, you have to promise me that you will give me a reading. And I said, but I don't understand. I don't know what the cards mean. He says, just give me a reading. I said, okay. So this was what he gave me. It's the Thoth Tarot, Aleister Crowley. And I sat down and I gave him a reading. And he said, whoa. He says, whoa, that was really good. That was really impressive. I don't know how you knew those things. And I went, well, I just saw what I saw. I don't know. And so from that, I started doing parties and events on occasion. It was a side thing. And then, of course, in Los Angeles, my focus was film, television, acting, theater. And I was working at a place called the Beetle House. It was a Tim Burton inspired bar and restaurant. I was the MC. I was Willy Wonka. That was what I did. I was known for that. I would impersonate Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka. And I would do birthday celebrations and I would do stand up, all kinds of things. And then the club closed down. And they were closed they were moving or they were renovating. I don't fully remember, but they were closed. And I went, oh, that was my steady income. Now I need to do something. And I said, well, you know what? I read tarot on the side. I'll just post online that I'm offering readings for people. And then people started coming. And that was when I was introduced to Frankie Frank, who introduced me to Patty Negri. And Patty Negri introduced me to Zach Bagans. And more importantly, she introduced me to you.
That's true. Love Patty. She does that kind of stuff, which was awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dear friend of mine. And yours.
That's right. I'm working with her all weekend, so I'll tell her that I saw you, and she'll be excited about the show.
Yeah. Well, you know, she and we work together on Wednesday nights too. We do a show called now I had to
man.
It's the Witches Movie Coven.
Yes. Yes.
And we discuss witchcraft in film and television. This week we'll be doing, in honor of me moving to New Orleans, we'll be doing American Horror Story Coven, which takes place in New Orleans.
Nice. You're actually going to be at the house there where they filmed it?
No, we do a live, like we're doing now. It's a podcast. So
cool.
Mm-hmm. But who knows, now that I'm in New Orleans as of next week, maybe we will.
Well, that'd be awesome, because me and Patty and I did the American Horror Story Murder House in Los Angeles.
Oh, yes. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that was an interesting place. So that'd be really cool if you guys had the opportunity to go there and check that out, like in person. That'd be great to see something like that.
Wouldn't it? I think maybe that will be on our bucket list. That'll be something we'll work on.
Maybe I should call them and set something up. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of those people, so that's cool.
She's going to be in New Orleans for, oh goodness, I can't remember her schedule, but I think there's a paranormal convention in New Orleans and she'll be there. I don't know her schedule, but I'll be there now too. So
awesome. That'll be good. You guys have a lot of fun out there.
Yeah.
In your new area where you're living, that'll be great. There's so much stuff to do there. And
you know, I think so. I've only been once when I was a kid. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've only been once when I was a kid, but I believe, you know, since I was younger, I've always had this fascination and this yearning towards New Orleans, and I I would always say, no, 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 it's the South. No, 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 no. I don't really drink. No, so I don't care about Bourbon Street, and I don't care about Mardi Gras. I don't care. No, no, no. And then I almost bought a house, and my friend says, nope, it's in the 9th ward. And I went, I don't know what that means. Well, it was after Hurricane Katrina. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, yeah, you'll be robbed by 9-year-olds on your front porch. And there are mosquitoes and cockroaches the sizes of Volkswagens. I went, nope, okay, that's it. I would be fine until you talk about the bugs. But now I'm moving there, so we'll see.
Just have to get a bigger can of Raid to kind of go through. Well, it's swamplands and a lot of water area, so those things grow really big down there. And when I was there, they have these June bugs that fly.
Oh,
and
yes.
they hit you, and it hurts. You're like, what the hell was that? Someone threw a rock at me. But no, it's these June bugs that are just massive.
And they're beautiful. They are beautiful.
Yeah. But don't want to be caught in a swarm of those, though. Like,
no.
That's pretty good.
No.
Awesome. So I know when I had you on the other show, we talked a little bit, and you just mentioned now that you were a Freddie Mercury impersonator when you were at doing the card thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you continue on that? I mean, did you do a lot of shows? People were paying to come see that?
I did. I ended up, I was a singing blackjack dealer in Vegas, and I was so tired. I was so bored of dealing blackjack. I felt like I was a dancing monkey, you know. And it was partially because, yes, everyone enjoyed it, but sometimes by my Wednesday, my voice was wrecked. I'm talking for 8 hours, and I'm around all of the cigarette smoke, and then trying to sing Queen. And, you know, on my Monday, my voice would be clear and bright, Mama. But by my Wednesday, it would be, Mama. Oh.
Yeah, from doing it all the time. Sure.
So I would tell them, please, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Please, just give me Crazy Little Thing Called Love. I had to perform 3 times. Just give me Crazy Little Thing Called Love. It's 1.5 minutes. It's in a low register. This thing called love. Let me have that. Let me do that. And as I would ascend my staircase, I would hear my backing track for Bohemian Rhapsody. And then as I'm getting off the stage, then I hear, and I go, what are you trying to kill me? And then it would go to Don't Stop Me Now. And I'm going, okay, I am done. I am done.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy right there. Those songs
are a lot of energy. So I decided that I was going to move to London. I bought a one-way ticket to England, and everyone said, you can't just move to England. I said, oh, yes, I can. Watch me. So I bought a one-way ticket to England, to London, and the woman says to me, wait, don't I know you? I said, oh, no, darling, I don't think that's possible. She says, no, I've seen you on the telly. I said, oh, I'm famous, dear. She says, but what have you been on? At this time, I really hadn't been on anything, like nothing. I was in Vegas. I had not really been on anything. I said, oh, you wouldn't have seen them. American things, really. She says, no, I know I've seen you on the telly. What are you here for? I said, oh, just for fun. She goes, oh, all right. Enjoy your stay. One-way ticket to England. And then I ran out of money because at the time, the pound was worth double the dollar. So I didn't have a lot of liquid funding, and I got someone hired me to go to Greece, and I stayed in Greece for 6 months, and I performed. They flew me there. They had my room and board. They paid me 600 euros a week for my show. And it was fun. And then I went to Sweden and Denmark. But yeah, I had a lot of people who they would pay to see the show.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm a huge Queen fan, and for you to be able to sing stuff like that, and then to get paid for doing that, it's like, wow, that's like a little dream come true right there. Who expects that? You know, that's amazing.
It was quite amazing. It's been quite an adventure. But you know, that harkens back to a magic thing too, because you have to be very careful what you ask for. When I was a kid, I wanted to be treated like a rock star, and people treated me like Freddie Mercury, and I went, "Oh." But there was, when I had moved to Hollywood, I was feeling very sorry for myself. It was the predecessor to my car now, which is, everyone knows him affectionately as Mr. Satan. My previous car was Gloria, because people would say, "What a glorious car!" It was a similar style, 1930s classic car. And I was driving. I lived on Santa Monica, and well, it was, I can't remember now. I was over by Hollywood Forever. And I was driving along feeling very sorry for myself that I hadn't accomplished what I had set out to accomplish. And the all I can say is the spirit of the universe, or the lady, whoever she is, she said to me, "You asked for this car. Look at this car. Isn't it what you asked for?" I said, "Yes, it's exactly what I asked for." She said, "Look at that man getting on the bus. He doesn't have any car, much less one that he asked for. And in fact, he's getting on that bus because he's tired." I said, "Okay." She said, "And where do you live?" I said, "Right there." She said, "Remember when you said you were going to live in Hollywood, California?" And she said, "Remember when you said that you were going to wear a custom three-piece suit every day and wear a top hat and carry a cane? And remember how you said that you were going to be treated like a rock star and people treated you like Freddie Mercury, who was a rock star?" I said, "Yes, I know, I get that, but that's not what I wanted." She says, "But it is what you asked for." She said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to be an actor." She says, um, "You're not Willy Wonka. And every day you put on a costume and you put on that makeup and you put on your top hat and your custom three-piece suit and you carry your walking stick, that every day people hand you money and they can you think of any other way that could happen?" I said, "Oh, okay, you're right. That is acting. You are right." She said, "What do you want?" I said, "I know, I know, I know. I want to be famous." She says, um, "You are." On one hand, there is the Willy Wonka thing. Can you think of anybody on this planet that millions of people from every city, state, continent on the planet, at least one person has a photo in every place on this planet? Can you think of anybody? I said, "No, you're right. But that's not what I asked for." She says, "Well, you've gotten everything that you've asked for." I said, "I know, but that's not how I intended it." And she said, "But you asked for it. This is the magic that you created. You asked for it." She said, "What do you want?" And I went, it, uh, I don't know. I really don't know." She said, "Well, if you don't know, I don't know. And if I don't know, I cannot help you. And until you know what you want, you know where to find me." And I drifted for a couple of years because I didn't know what to ask for, because she had basically slapped me and said, "You have everything you've asked for has been accomplished." And so when you do magic, you have to make certain that you are incredibly specific with your intention. You can't be vague, because energy will take the path of least resistance. And so you can't be vague. You have to be exact. You have to know the ins and the outs. And then also, people get tired. They say, "Well, why isn't my magic working?" You have to check and see, how did I ask? What did I ask for? Did this thing that I asked for actually happen in a way that I wasn't noticing? Energy takes the path of least resistance.
So you have to break it down and give them the description of what you're talking about. But like you said in the beginning, you need to know exactly what you want. You just can't say, "Oh, yeah, I just want to be famous." It's like, okay, because I would think like the same way. I would ask for these things, and oh, I want to be famous, and I'm known all over the world, and I've done all kinds of great things, and I keep remembering that. But one of the things I should have put in there said, "Oh, I want to be famous and rich," because
Right?
the money didn't come through. I'm like, what happened? It's like, oh, What are you talking about? People know you all over the world.
Exactly.
Like, oh,
Exactly.
I forgot that part.
Exactly. So yeah, fame does not necessarily bring money. So make certain that when you are doing your intention work, that you are adding money into that mix, because it does help.
Yeah, you got to let them know what you're looking for. And you, like you said, if you're not clear, it'll just go get the simplest thing and say, well, this is what you said, right here. Just here you go.
Well, and you know, water is energy, and if you pour water in on the floor, it will try to fill the space. That's the wonderful thing about water, is that it tries to fill the space. Whatever the container is, water will try to fill it. Now, the thing is, how do you pour the water out, it will take the path of least resistance. However, we can now go into our homes and we can turn on the water, and we know that water is going to come through those pipes and it's going to come out of that faucet. We know that, but that's because we lay the groundwork, and then we force the water to go into these ways. And magic is the same way. We do the groundwork, otherwise it'll just go where it naturally wants to go, and you can't control it. So you have to do the groundwork. You'd have to do a lot of hard work, and then you have to tell the energy where to go, where to direct it.
Absolutely, you got to guide it. Let it know. That's part of the intent, and you're putting more of that clarifying energy into it, so it'll work better as long as it's more defined. See? That's why you guys should go follow him at the University of Magic and sign up for his classes.
That is true. That is true.
This information.
I do teach there periodically, usually about once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending upon what's happening in my world and the world of University Magicus. And I talk about things. I help people to build their psychic abilities. I help people to build their magic. I help people to understand a little bit of the paranormal world, the occult world, the spiritual world.
Absolutely. It's very important, especially with the university. There is a lot of diversity in the teachers and the classes, and
Absolutely.
you bring so much of that to the students. I think it's great. And plus, even on your YouTube channel, you go back and you talk about all this rich history and stuff, which is so great, because you don't hear those stories in most places. You kind of hear little bits and pieces of the story, but you actually give like a storyteller's position of these facts and stuff, the stories that you know, and it really brings people into it. I've watched it many a times, going, "Wow, this is such a great story," So that's awesome with your YouTube channel.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's fun. I'm looking forward to doing more educational ones. I had stopped producing videos for a little while because my life was in chaos, but I'm looking forward, and my boys here will be able to work again. I have still been doing story time and Witches Movie Coven and doing the occasional live, but now I'll start producing again because I miss it. I really do miss it. It's different. The funny thing is, when I moved to New York, I actually originally moved 2 hours from the city, because I lived in Los Angeles, in Pasadena, and Pasadena can sometimes be, it's only 20 miles. It can sometimes be 2 hours to get to Santa Monica, but it's fine. You're still in Los Angeles, but 20 miles outside of New York City, you are in the middle of nowhere. It is so bizarre, because of course Los Angeles goes this way, but New York City goes this way. So right. You get 20 miles out and you are in the country, and you are the trains don't go regularly, and if you're going through towns, if you drive, that it's 15 miles an hour, and then 30, and then 10, and then 20. It's 2 hours in New York is not 2 hours in LA. It is not.
It's a whole different world. Absolutely.
It's a whole different world. And that's why I am looking forward to moving to New Orleans, because it does have it does have the art, and it does have the magic, and it does have the paranormal, and it has theater, it has filming, it has so many things that I am so looking forward to reconnecting with.
Absolutely. Even when it's quiet out there, it's such a great outside. The skies are nice and clear, and it's a good, cool feeling out there. It's nice. The people are all real nice, in the certain areas. There are some areas you don't want to go down to because, they're not the greatest areas. But, there is a lot of history there. Lafayette Cemetery, of course, is such an amazing place to go hang out there. I could spend days in there, just all the history as well. There's so many historical places there. So much history has passed through there. It's a place that you can really get caught up in, especially if someone like you who's telling all these great stories about the paranormal or these legends of things that have happened. I mean, there's so much there you could focus on and talk about as well.
Absolutely. Again, I am really looking forward. I'm positively optimistic for my recent endeavor south.
Nice. It's going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be everything you're looking forward to, because it's such a big change from coming from the city. New York's awesome, but I can only handle visiting it for a little while than going back home.
The thing with I'm presently out on Long Island. I'm 20 miles away.
Okay.
But the city is, everything is up, and you feel a little claustrophobic because it is so much. But out here on Long Island, it's very provincial, and out here they don't really appreciate the artist or the oddball. In the city, I love to be in the city. I love to be in New York City, because I get two reactions that I enjoy equally. One reaction is, wow, I like this. You look really great. And the other reaction is, they just ignore me. They just pretend I don't exist. And I love that. But out here on the island, it's, why are you dressed like that? Are you in a play? I mean, you're really dressed so weird. I just don't know.
That totally sounds like Long Island too.
And what's worse is when they do the what's called the Locust Valley Lockjaw. It was most notably used by Thurston Howell III in Gilligan's Island. And they'll say, well, they're just not going to make it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that just shows you the difference of being out on Long Island versus being in the city. Just a different environment.
It's completely. Be sure that when you ask for when you manifest your magic, make certain you know what you're getting yourself into. And I will add, always trust your intuition, because I have found myself, I can sit down and I'll lay out the cards, and people say, wow, that was accurate. You were so right. And they'll call me 6 months later and they say, yes, everything you said has happened. You are so right. You are right. But when I lay them out for myself, I go, oh, it does mean that, but maybe it doesn't really mean that. Maybe that's not really what's going to happen. And then it bites me in the butt and it happens. So trust your intuition, and always stand behind what you say. It's really important. That's what I can drive home today, is stand by what you say and what you think. Trust your intuition, trust your magic.
Absolutely. And it's good that you're going to a place where you can be inspired and stuff, especially with the art. We were talking a little bit before about you doing a lot of artwork, and I see a lot of the pictures and stuff, which are incredible. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's like the inspiration that you get when you're going to do a picture?
It's so funny, because there's inspiration comes from different places. When I do Scared and Alone, we are trying to ramp up. We're scouting locations now. when I do Scared and Alone, I don't know anything about the place. I don't know anything about it. I will look up the exterior so that I know visually what I'm painting. I don't click on any websites. I don't look at any of the ghost stories. I just look at the picture of the place, and that's it. And then I will paint what I see. And I have painted. There have been times where I've painted people that ended up by being the people who owned the houses. I had no idea, but I just would paint what I saw. There was other inspiration. I'm doing a tarot deck. I have a few more paintings I need to do before it's finished, but I'm doing a tarot deck. I love occult symbolism. I just adore it. So that's oftentimes. But really, it's so funny how I even started painting was when I was a kid. I would wish for things, and I didn't know how to bring it into my existence unless I drew it. So I would draw these things, and then it would come to me. And then I was in my early 20s. I was doing ballet. I was a ballet danseur with the Midwest Regional Ballet Theater Company. And my ballet mistress, she said to me, "Hey, Rich," that's what she called me. "Rich, can you paint me a grandfather clock? We need it for this scene." And I said, "Sure." And I picked up this paintbrush and I created this elaborate 3-dimensional grandfather clock on what was basically plywood. And she says, "Wow, why didn't you tell me you could paint?" And I said, "I didn't know I could. I've never picked up a paintbrush in my life."
That's
She says,
perfect.
"What?" And then from that, I paid for my dance lessons by painting the sets. I would just paint what I saw from here. And a lot of people, when they draw, when they paint, when they create, most people have to look at a picture and then translate the picture to the page. But if I look at a picture, I cannot. I can paint from here. I can't paint from here.
Interesting. So when you're looking at a blank piece of paper or a canvas, you're actually seeing the image in your mind of what's already on the canvas. You're
Yep,
just kind of filling it in what you're seeing.
absolutely.
That's awesome. For those of you out there who want to check out some of his work, you can go to thegentlemanpsychic.com. There is links on there for the artwork. Are you doing special requests and stuff like that as well?
I do actually do special requests.
Cool.
It depends. It depends on my mood. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. Which makes sense because you can't put art into something if you're not feeling the inspiration at that point, because then you start kind of trying to force it and it's not going to come out quite the same.
Exactly. I did one for, speaking of New Orleans and special requests, Bloody Mary, who is a Ghost Adventures alumni. I did one for her for her daughter-in-law and son's. They were expecting a baby, so I created an Alice in Wonderland themed family portrait for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing. So when I go back down to New Orleans, I'm sure that I will see my painting hanging in her shop.
That's awesome. See, you're already making your way in there. You already got things there that are waiting for you to show up.
And it's so funny because I knew when I was considering New Orleans, I knew I had 3 or 4 friends, but as it turns out, I have 15 or 20, maybe more, of people that have come out of the woodwork and said, "Oh yeah, I live in New Orleans. Oh, I live in New Orleans part-time. Oh, I have a house there. Oh, I visit there all the time." So it's not like I'm going alone. I am, but I'm not. But, I am, but I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you're just going to some foreign land and you don't know anybody. You're starting from scratch. But
And I mean, I have done that, mind you.
oh, cool.
Vegas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, all I've done. Europe, I didn't know anybody. I just went.
It makes sense. Sometimes a lot of people do that, but moving around, it's always such a weird thing when you're doing versus being on vacation and versus doing a permanent move, where you're actually uprooting and taking everything that you have to a new location to start. So when you have people there familiar, it makes it so much easier.
It does. And hopefully it'll make it easier to actually unload my possessions, because I have a lot of heavy furniture.
All classic furniture, though.
I mean, all of it's antique, 18th, 19th, early 20th century.
That's awesome. People wish they had that kind of stuff. I've been to your house before, so I've seen some of the stuff you have. It's pretty amazing. The couches and all that stuff. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the videos and stuff. I mean, you have a lot of different videos you do, like we were talking about. A lot of the subjects, magic, the paranormal, even Satanism. I think there's a lot of big misconception out there about Satanism and stuff that people don't really understand. But when you explain it, it seems to make so much more sense and down to earth. A lot of people just like freak out and they just go into Hollywood land. It's like, no, hold on, back up. That's not what's happening. Just stop.
Exactly. I was in Salem for SatanCon. Boston, rather. I was in Boston for SatanCon, and there were all kinds of protesters, and I did a brief interview, and it was just, yes, I'm going in. No, it's not the 1980s. No, it's not a horror film. No, we don't sacrifice babies. None of that is anything we do. However, yes, people have a very sort of, especially at this point in time, when people hear the word Satan, they automatically, for whatever reason, they automatically go back to those Hammer films of the 70s and 80s. And that's not what really it is about. It's really closer to Buddhism than it is anything else, because there are theistic Buddhists and there are atheistic Buddhists. Most are atheist. They use the image of the Buddha. They use the image of the Buddha as something to achieve. And likewise in Satanism, that is it. I don't believe in a literal Satan. I do believe in ghosts and energies and all kinds of strange things that typical atheists don't believe in. But I don't believe in a literal physical Satan. I think he gets too much credit. However, in the mythology, the Satan, whether it be in the Torah or the Quran or the Bible, never tells one single lie. Not one. For the father of lies, he never tells a lie. Not one. And it's also, when you look at it, it's him saying, okay, come on, let's think rationally here. You can do these things. You don't have to go through the trouble. You don't have to crucify yourself, because it's literally yours. The world is already yours. Don't crucify yourself. Even the serpent in the Old Testament, he says, take and eat of the fruit, for when you do, your eyes will be opened and you will have understanding. And then Eve says, but Yahweh says that if I eat of this apple, the day that I eat of it, I will die. This fruit, she doesn't call it an apple, but the time that I eat of this fruit, the day I eat of it, I will die. You will not die, but you will have wisdom. And sure enough, they say that they lived another 1,000 years, so they didn't die that day, and they understood right and wrong. They didn't have any understanding before, so there was no lie. So that is exactly what I want to be, is as honest as I can be, as humane as I can be, and I want people to reach their full potential, no matter what that may be. And everyone is different, but I want everyone to have all of the tools at their fingertips, that they can build a better life, that they can have a better world, that they can care about each other more.
And that's exactly what it's all about. People shouldn't limit themselves or hold themselves back from of achieving something that they truly want to achieve, because that's what you're here for. You're here to see what you can do with this short time here. Go for it,
Exactly.
Absolutely. Be the best you can, whatever it takes to get you there.
Yep. So it's not evil. It's that's all Hollywood.
Yeah.
I've used the line, I love children. I can just never finish a whole one. But the truth is, that's not something that Satanists do. We don't do that.
Yeah, it doesn't. Technically, that doesn't even make sense. So I don't see why people jump back. But once again, Hollywood has fabricated so much stuff, and everyone's just, this way or that way. I grew up Southern Baptist, and everything's bad except for this right here.
And you know what's even funnier? Speaking of Hollywood and their corruption of things, is the Ouija board. In the 19th century, there was so much death when the Ouija board came out. It was a family thing. People would gather. Christian families would gather and use the spirit board. Couples would romantically come together, and they would sit in the dark, and they would hold each other's hands, and their knees would touch under the table. But it was literally demonized in the 1970s with The Exorcist. They had to find a way, they had to find a reason that the girl became possessed. And so from the 1970s onward, now people have this whole fear of the spirit board because of that one movie.
That's exactly it. They had to find a way to make it happen, and that was a popular toy at the time. Like, oh, everyone's talking to spirits. This could have a adverse effect, and the girl can get possessed. Blah blah blah. It just seemed to work out for the story, and people just bought it. Now all of a sudden,
it's much the same reason why clowns have lost favor. Now, mind you, yes, John Wayne Gacy was a killer clown, but really Pennywise is why people are scared of clowns to this day.
And sewers.
It's just cinema does that. Cinema is magic. Cinema changes things. Now, I'm not afraid of clowns. I'm going to show you a little show and tell.
Cool.
Because I am not afraid of clowns. I actually really love clowns. And I have...
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Aren't they great? And the funny thing is, which one? I think it was this one. A friend of mine, I had posted that I loved him, and she bought him for me and sent him to me. And then I found his brother.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Together.
So they're roughly from 1900. And I'm not afraid of clowns. I'm also not afraid of the devil. And this is another one I want to show you, a little more show and tell. Another friend of mine had found this little devil online.
Wow, look at that.
And he's quite spirited. He was naked, and I made him this little classic devil suit.
That's cool.
And he's not, like I said, he is very spirited. He's handmade, and he's got some life in him.
Nice.
And then, of course, my boys, they date from the 30s from Europe, and they're very haunted.
That's cool. Love antique stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I'm not afraid of the devil. I'm not afraid of clowns.
Yeah. Why would you be afraid of the devil? Unless you start a fight with them or something. I mean, what?
Right? Exactly.
A lot of people don't see it that way, that they just do what they're told and are automatically frightened. And I get it. They frighten them so they can keep them on a certain path, without expanding their knowledge.
And it is a certain path, and there is so much indoctrination. Years ago, I'm going to tell you a very personal story that I don't often tell, but it talks about the indoctrination. Years ago, I was visited by these beings that were they were shadow, and they had horns, and they didn't speak English, but I could understand them. But everything they said was it rhymed. It was very sort of sing-songy and poetic. There was a male version and a female version, and they came down and they were talking to me, and I was in that state between awake and asleep, and they said something, and I said, I need 25 years. And they said, you don't even know what we're offering. And I said, then I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Now, why did I do that? Because of my indoctrination. And then they went, okay. And then I woke up, and I felt so horrible that I was so rude in my indoctrination from when I was a kid. They were not scary. They were not evil. They were polite. They were kind. But my indoctrination from seeing things that were different as evil, it filtered into that subconscious. And, I have asked their forgiveness and asked that they would return. I haven't seen them yet. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 25 years. Who knows? Maybe at the crossroads in New Orleans. Who knows?
Who knows? That could be a good spot for that to happen.
I think so. I mean, you know what? I did actually. Speaking of crossroads, I don't practice voodoo because it is a closed religion, but I am inspired by much of the voodoo culture, and there are a lot of voodoo deities that I call upon when I'm trying to do magic. And when I was in Pasadena, I had done a crossroads spell right there by that big old Victorian house, and I went out for a walk. That evening, I saw there was a blackbird that followed me, and then an owl flew out of the tree and then stared at me and flew back in the tree. And then as I walked back around up to the house, I saw a man walking in the middle of the road. His eyes were white. He had a tall straw hat on. He was dragging a cart, and he had this liquid in his hand that he was drinking. But his eyes they were fire. There were no pupils. There was nothing. It was just white, and it was as white as daylight. And I told my friend, I said, let's go. Let's get in the house. Let's go in the house, because I know who that is. I know who that is. That's Papa Legba. Let's just get in the house. So we got in the house, and I told her, I said, that was Papa Legba. That was who I had called upon for this crossroad. So maybe New Orleans, maybe that's the crossroad I need to be at.
Yeah. He's going to be like, hey, what was that in California? Why was I over there?
Right?
That's funny. Yeah, but whatever, that just means the magic's working. They're listening to the call. That's a huge thing. Getting them to listen is sometimes one of the hardest things.
Absolutely. But again, you have to approach it respectfully. A lot of times, people who do paranormal investigations, people who are they dabble in the occult, or they dabble in spirituality, they dabble in this or that. They have a tendency to be sort of provocateurs, and they'll come into a home and they'll yell, who are you? Come at me. Who are you?
Come at me. That's funny.
And you have to say, okay.
Yeah.
If I were just hanging around in my home and someone came in and started yelling at me, come at me, I would, first of all, I would laugh most of the time. Secondly, I would feel incredibly, and rightfully so, insulted. And I would try to get them out of my house. So when I investigate, I always approach it as that I am a guest in their home. They don't have to talk to me. They don't have to be there. If they don't want to talk to me, they don't have to talk. I'm a guest. But like a guest, you want to make certain.
Absolutely.
And even when you're
I talk about that in my classes a lot.
Yes, you always have to be polite. And
I talk about that in class.
I'm not surprised. You and I, my friend, I'm not surprised. Simpatico.
Yeah, because I always say that because we are guests in their house. They're there every day, and they got to listen to all the idiots like you were talking about. Say, show yourself. I demand you to come out here right now. It's like, what? What are you doing? It's like we just got invited into their home, and I walk in, and I've done a lot of historical places, and I've done all the dumb TV shows and stuff, and I always get that comment like, hey, I like the way you do your thing. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you walk into a room, you introduce yourself, you present yourself as you're talking to the people in the house. I'm like, I am. This is not about me. I'm not here because I want something or anything. I want to experience them. I want to know about them. I want to know their story and say hello. I heard about you and I'm totally impressed. Look at your beautiful home, and I get so much better activity that way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They'll be a lot kinder. They'll be a lot more apt to do things for you because now they want to impress you. Oh, they can see me. Okay. All right. Let's have a little chat, a little talk.
Yeah, and once again, you're building relationships. Every next time I come back to this haunted place, they're gonna remember me. Like, oh, there's that cool guy. He played music for us last time he was here. He was fun. Let's bring him in. Come on, hurry up. Let's have some fun. And it just gets better and better every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. But I also tell people you have to have a guest list too. So, if you're channeling spirits and energies, if you have a party, you wouldn't just open your door and say, hey, everybody, come on into my house. The silverware is over here. My entertainment, my electronics are here. The jewelry is over here. Everybody come into my house. You wouldn't do that because sometimes you might inadvertently invite someone that you don't want to invite. What you would do is you would have a guest list. These are my friends. I trust my friends. They can bring their friends. I trust this person. But sometimes you get someone in a house that is not behaving properly. And as a host, you have to ask the person to leave. You don't be rude about it. You just say, I'm sorry. This is not going to work. You have to leave. And it's the same in the spirit world.
Yeah, because you can't clash different energies. They're not going to vibe. It's not going to work out. So take the problem out of there and get things back to normal. And I talk about it all the time. When I'm filming the TV shows now, and this is totally different than what I used to do. I used to bring my whole paranormal team into a location, and there's people everywhere, and it's just got very chaotic. As time went on, and I've been doing this for over 30 years now, I've realized I'm going to set this time frame up, and I'm going to bring this person and that person and you, my camera guy, and we're just going to keep it small, keep it tight, because if I bring three of my psychics and Patty included, if I bring them all together, their feelers are out and they're going to start bouncing off each other, and it's not going to be as great as if it was me, the homeowner, and Patty, just intimate. Then we can all link with the spirit energy. I'm trying to not contaminate the spirit energy anymore. I'm trying to keep it simple.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It just seems to work out better. Smaller energy masses. Plus, you're building friendships again. They'll be like, oh, I remember that person you brought last time. She was really fun. Let's do this again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Patty and I, we work so well together. We were in upstate. Where is it? I can't remember. We were in upstate New York some time ago, and we worked together, like I said, but we did a seance, and a group of people gathered around, and there's a woman. I think she's with you. She feels like a grandmother. The woman said, yes, I agree. I remember. She said, but she's doing this thing with her hands. I don't know what that is. Does that make sense? She says, no, I don't know. She says, but she's doing this. I don't know why she's doing this. And I said, yeah, but I'm seeing a dish. She's holding a dish. What is this dish? And the woman who is the sitter burst out laughing, and she says, oh, my grandmother was a heavy smoker, and she always carried around her ashtray. And when she would smoke, this is what she would do all day long. So sometimes we can see something that the other person can't see, but smaller is better typically.
Absolutely.
Two, 3, 4 people. If you have a whole team, it
just makes it easier to do things, and keeps the energy down, so not everyone overflowing and stuff.
And also, in more novice people, they will ask the same questions over and over and over. Who are you? How did you die? You know you're dead. Stop.
I don't do any of those.
No.
I ask about ice cream, food,
ice cream and music, and
yeah. I always want them to remember the things they loved.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, hey, you know, what's your favorite ice cream? Blah blah. I always tell them my chocolate chip. Blah blah blah. What kind of music do you like? I actually filmed a thing called the Paranormal Music Party, where I went to this big location from the 1920s and played music from different genres, and had all the equipment out and stuff. And it just seemed to work out great. You know, certain periods of music, everything would go crazy. Like I got to the big band era, like the 1940 stuff. Oh my God, the place went just lit up, and you could just feel the happiness and the energy from the music. It was incredible.
And any place that has intense emotion, and it's not just human emotion, but any place that there is intense emotion is more than likely haunted. Churches, synagogues, mosques, theaters, dance halls, gambling halls, brothels, even slaughterhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime there is intense emotion, the place is haunted. I even think sometimes a lot of these old movie cinemas are haunted because of what was real good actors. They channel that energy from within themselves, they pull it to them, and it is real. It is acting, but it is absolutely real. What they're saying is real. What they're feeling is real. And they're projecting it out into those walls. And that's why I think that even movie cinemas are haunted.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are coming to the end of the show. We are going to have to wrap. You know, it's sad I only get an hour show, but you know, you're one of those people I always look forward to talking to, and we could do this for hours and just go back and forth. And it's so good to catch up with you. I haven't seen you in a while, and I can feel your energy, you know, coming through the monitors and stuff. It feels really good to talk to you. Yeah.
My pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. Always, always a pleasure.
Right, and people can find you at the Gentleman Psychic.
TheGentlemanPsychic.com. You can find me on Facebook, on YouTube, on all the medias of social, either Richard-Lael Lillard or as the Gentleman Psychic, or the Parlor of the Gentleman Psychic. That's one of my pages that I have two now, but I meant it to be anyway. I'm everywhere, but make certain that it is me. There are a lot of fakes out there because it just happens. It just happens to be there. There are, but you'll know I have a very distinct cadence if they're talking. Also know I will never contact you personally to get a reading. You can contact me. I'm easily found. If you need a reading, if you need to talk to me, I'm easily found. I will never contact you.
Perfect. He's not going to contact you, so don't worry. You got to contact him.
That's right.
All right, my friend, that's going to be it for the show. Thank you for joining us. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a very long time, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to do it.
Me
and
too, my friend.
Looking forward to seeing you in the near future, and hopefully getting out there and having some fun.
Oh, I look forward to it. I think so.
All right. And that's going to be it. And I will talk to you later. Have a good night.
Good night.
So that is it for tonight's show. You've been listening to My Darkest Hour on liveparanormal.com. You have been watching My Darkest Hour for Paraflix and for YouTube. You can go ahead and see all the archive shows. That was Richard-Lael Lillard, the Gentleman Psychic. Very nice to work with him. He's a very, very strong psychic medium. You can always follow him on the University Magicus Udemy site. see some of his classes, make sure you go to his YouTube channel and see all the different things that he talks about. Like I said, incredible with history. I love to watch some of the shows that he does and the things that he talks about. I'm very fascinated with a lot of that stuff. So make sure you guys go and check it out. And that is going to be it for the show. And we will see you guys next time right here on My Darkest Hour.